So welcome to practice today. And I've prepared a block. I've prepared my usual blanket. If you like bolsters and things for comfort, they would be good to have as well. Our usual session today, so a Hatha yoga class with elements of meditation and mindfulness. Let's begin lying down on the back as so very often. So finding a way to get comfortable at first. I might not demonstrate that and rather step up towards the screen. So to introduce a mudra, you can rest your arms either side of the body if that feels comfortable. Knees can be whatever you like them to be. And then it's a simple one today, touching your thumb to the third joint of your ring finger, which means the thumb goes very much to the base of the finger and touches onto the inside of that joint. So the space between your middle and your ring finger. So, and that's it, nothing else. Just touching your thumb to the base of the ring finger and in between your middle and ring finger, and then resting that down. So with eyes closed perhaps, or your gaze steady toward the ceiling. This mudra is a detoxification mudra, and we are working on that, detoxification. While this might be an intention that some of you have set for the new year, detoxification is often seen as just being relevant to the body. This mudra assists with that if that is your intention, detoxification, sorry, of the body. But it can also help you with your mind and other aspects of your life that you want to cleanse and bring attention towards. We'll go into that and its details a bit later in the practice. But for now, you might rest with this mudra. You might feel into it. Is there a sensation that arises when you place your fingers this way? Perhaps knowing what the mudra is about, its Sanskrit name is Vishuddha mudra or detoxification mudra. Perhaps you notice with what it is and your finger position that there are things in your life that you might like to change or get rid of altogether. While oftentimes the intention isn't quite enough, the intention is a starting point, as it shows that awareness is there. So your mudra, an intention, perhaps what you would like to do now. If there is an intention arising in your mind around detoxification, in whatever area of your being or life, you might set that intention now. Rather than stating what you don't want, however, state something as if it was already there. Then perhaps mentally repeating 3 times to yourself. Perhaps now aware of your intention, maybe even the hand position, as well as your body on the mat. We will go for 3 rounds. You may hold the mudra if you wish, of reset breaths. So a deep, full breath in through your nostrils, a little top-up breath, and then breathing out as slowly as you can from your mouth. Second round, big breath in, top-up breath, and out from your mouth. Last round, breath in, top-up breath, and exhaling. Then breathing naturally again. Perhaps acknowledging what you're feeling like now. Effect on the nervous system, effect on the body, emotions. Then you might release your mudra. If your legs are out long, you could bend your knees, step the feet onto the ground. And perhaps bringing your right knee into the chest, maybe even taking a hold and hugging it in. Left foot can stay on the floor for more comfort, or you may extend the leg out. Starting to circle the right foot in the air. Changing directions. Then leaving your leg in the chest. Maybe starting to open the knee out to the side as you breathe in. You can use one hand here. And maybe the other hand as you breathe out to guide it lightly across. No need to go into a full twist quite yet. Rolling back onto the back. Open your knee out to the side. Inhaling. On the exhale, guiding your knee across. You could do so by changing your hands around. You could also choose to let your arms come to rest and only moving your leg out on the in-breath, across on the out-breath. While this might feel good for you, in that case, please continue. If you would like to extend the leg now, point the toes to the ceiling and then continue the movement as you inhale, open your leg. On the exhale, bringing it across. You might want to ground a little bit more through the shoulders, the arms, maybe the palms of your hands onto the floor. At any time, could you return back to a bent knee version of this movement? So keep checking in with yourself what feels right. Then finding yourself within the twist and a little pause. Keep it exactly as it is, just breathing, grounding your upper body and your arms. Then lift your leg up towards the ceiling, flex the foot, take a gentle hold behind the leg to assist it, and perhaps even draw it in towards your body. Then bend your right knee, step the foot down onto the mat in a relaxed fashion, and bring your left knee into the chest and perhaps hugging that in as well. You might choose to keep the right foot on the floor or extend the right leg out long onto the ground. While you keep your knee drawn into the chest, perhaps a circling of your foot. Changing direction. And as you release the circling of the foot, your knee is bent. You might begin again using your hand as you breathe in to open your knee to the side. Change the hand, perhaps as you breathe out, to draw your knee across the body. And then you might continue that on the inhale, opening your knee like a half butterfly. On your out breath, taking your knee across the body. And again, you can choose to keep this flowing using your hands as your assistance. You could choose to let your leg move on its own, beginning to ground a bit more through arms, hands, and shoulders. Or you might, as you come into the center, extend your leg up, point your toes, then continue the movement out to the side on the inhale, swinging across on the exhale. Keep it flowing the way it feels right for you, like long or straight. Keep actively grounding your shoulders, your arms and hands, or just to help you with the movement. When you next come over and across the body, you might choose to hold leg long or knee bend. Keep your upper body actively grounding into the floor. Then slowly releasing onto your back, you might begin to flex this foot, the heel pressing up, and you could choose to take a hold behind the leg as you breathe out, drawing it up towards your body again. Then bend your knee, placing the foot down onto the mat. Let the other foot join in. Maybe even constructive rest, feet wide, knees topping towards each other. And perhaps for this short rest, coming back into your mudra, your thumb to the inside of your last ring finger joint. Breathing deeply in and out of your nostrils as you acknowledge little changes in your body. Then perhaps rolling over onto your side, helping yourself to come towards a seated position, and then onto your hands and knees. As usual, if you feel your knees can do with some support, perhaps using your blanket underneath the knees about hip distance apart. As you come to rest, we'll take a slow breath in to raise the left arm, turning towards the side. On the out breath, then reach your arm underneath, coming to thread the needle. If it's comfortable, you might rest your head towards the floor. If you need a bit of support, maybe onto a block instead. As you look underneath, and maybe the shoulders resting down too, or it's floating, could you also choose to raise your right arm and let your arm gently drop behind your back, keeping the shoulder lightly back in this form, and again, continue to breathe. Releasing your right hand back onto the mat, pushing the floor away as you come back to all fours. We will change sides. So on the in-breath, the right arm might lift. You could open your gaze to the side, and then threading the needle as you reach your arm through. Perhaps your head is resting onto a block or onto the floor again. Just noticing which variation is fine for you. Make sure the shoulder is reasonably comfortable as well. And you could from there then raise your left arm and wrap that behind your back, keeping your shoulder backwards there too. Looking along the floor or along your extended arm towards your fingertips. Let's place the left hand back down onto the mat and rise again onto the hands and the knees. I will for now remove my block, spreading the fingers out onto the ground, the knees underneath the hips, and taking an inhale with the neutral spine. On the out breath now, rounding the back, cat. Inhale, choose between neutral spine and back bend, tail gaze lifting. Exhaling, rounding back into the cat. We'll do that only one more time. So breathe in, find your variation of it, and out to round back to the cat. On the next inhale now, lengthening your spine, including your neck. Now let your right leg extend all the way back as you breathe in. Mindful that you're still strong on your arms and leg. And with the out breath, draw your knee up towards your shoulder. On the inhale, hip rotation, spine lengthens, leg lengthens. Exhale, squeeze knee up to the same side shoulder. On the inhale, extend. We'll repeat always to the same shoulder as you breathe out. And perhaps 2 more, breathing in to extend. Out to draw the knee up to the shoulder. Last one. Hold your knee. Flex your foot. Begin to extend the leg out to the side while landing your foot down onto the mat, turning your toes forward. Let your hands come in towards the knee on the floor. Stand with your hip over your knee as you roll your spine up outwards. Opening the arms out wide, palms facing up, your in-breath. And on the exhale, begin to tilt towards the extended leg. Arm might reach over the head or be in the side of the waist if your shoulder needs support. Palm of your upper hand is facing downwards towards the leg. The hand resting against the leg is very light. And you might slowly lean a little bit further into your side stretch. Parigasana, gate pose. Then let your arm and shoulder roll forward, bringing your hands back down as well as your knee back down onto the mat, reclaiming your all-four stance. Out breath, rounding into the cat. In breath, neutral spine or tail and gaze lifting. Out breath, back into the cat. Just one more round, breathing in and exhaling for your cat. Then lengthen the spine back out. Again, please include your neck. On your next inhale, hold your body strong, extending your left leg out long. Still action in the 3 limbs against the mat. On the out breath, draw your left knee towards your left shoulder. On the inhale, let all that rotation to straighten back and leg. And out breath to squeeze knee back up to the shoulder. Let's repeat for 3 more breaths. Inhaling, length. Exhaling, squeeze to the shoulder. Breathing in and out. Last round. As you inhale, still extend. On the out breath, draw your knee up towards your shoulder. Flex the foot. And begin to extend your leg out to the side onto the floor. Turning your toes forward as you land your whole foot. Then walk your hands up to the knee that's right underneath your hip and curl up through the spine on your out breath. Opening your arms out wide, palms of the hands might be facing up. Gate pose. As you breathe out, lean over your extended leg, arm over the head if you like, or resting it into the side of the waist. If your arm is reaching across, please also keep your shoulder backwards. And the palm of the hand, if the arm is extended, facing down. Same on this side. The hand against the leg is very soft, just resting. And your breath might take you further into the side bend. Then let your upper arm and shoulder roll down. Bring your hands back down onto the floor, the knees back down onto the mat. And you can choose to stay exactly as you are, or tuck the toes under, lean a little bit forward, and then roll your spine up for a downward facing dog. If you do choose a down dog, you might walk out through your legs as well as walking out through your arms. If you're on all fours, you might have some movements out of center, finding again the same as in the down dog, a bit more ease within your body. Then sliding your knees forward or walking your feet forward, coming to a standing forward bend, front side end of your mat. On your next out breath, begin to uncurl the spine into standing. Give your shoulders a light lift and then a shrug back and down. While you stay facing the short front edge of the mat, I will change my position so you can see me better for now. Turning the palms of your hands to face forward. Your feet comfortably apart or big toes together. And we'll take a breath in to raise the left arm. And with the out breath, looking down towards the right side for a side bend. On the inhale, lift this back up. On the out breath, releasing your arm down to the side of the body. Other arm, take a breath in to lift it. On the out breath, find a side bend, looking down towards the floor. Breath in to lift back up. And a breath out to release it. Now, while this might be nice, let's cross our left leg over the right. Take a breath in to reach the left arm up. Now, perhaps bending your elbow and resting the hand behind the neck or into the upper back. Option to take a hold of this elbow and encourage it backwards. Notice how your rib cage might lift and pull that lightly back in. So the spine is in a more neutral position. Last option here, a side bend as you lean towards your right. Keep breathing. Then lift your torso, lift your arms as you breathe in, separate your feet and release your arms back down. Attempt to do the same on the other side, right foot crossing over your left. Right arm might lift. You could bend the elbow, reach your hand behind. Maybe even taking a hold of the elbow, drawing it back. Usually the same thing happens. Your rib cage comes up, you come into a back bend, draw the front ribs actively a little bit in. Then the last option to bend to the left. Holding your shoulders parallel and breathing. Beautiful. Let's release. Come to stand. Release your arms. And on the out breath, separating your feet as well. Coming to stand again in a mountain. Feet comfortable distance or big toes together. Inner heels drawing inwards. Feeling a strong support in this stance. I will change back to face the front of my mat. And on the next inhale, beginning to lift your arms, your right knee. Draw your hands down onto your hips as you step your right foot back into a deeper lunge. If the lunge doesn't suit you, you need to ground your back foot, have a wider stance to make movement possible. If you can hold your lunge, leave the heel directly behind the foot and bring a light bend into the back knee as well. Drawing your front hip slightly back to align yourself in the lunge. Option now, right arm reaching up, your in-breath. We might come back to bending the elbow, hand behind the back. Same option here, you could take a hold of your elbow and draw it behind you. Keep the back knee bent, so you might feel some lengthening coming through that side. Either stay here or take your left arm behind and perhaps there's a bind happening. Please make the relevant choices for yourself. As you might stay here, you could deepen the lunge further. You might even bend towards your left. Take a breath in to lift the arms and open them out. Crossing now your left arm underneath your right, and you might hug your shoulders here or bring the palms of the hands to touch. We're changing nothing in our stance, but letting the shoulders be soft. The arms lightly squeeze toward each other. And your option here is to lift not only the sternum, but also your elbows. Keep sitting low in the lunge. Lower back is long. Upper back might back bend now. Let your arms unwind, perhaps fly out as you breathe in. And aim to step forward directly to mountain pose when breathing out. As you find yourself standing again tall, inner heels are drawing back together without doing so. Take a deep, full breath. Let that travel from your belly right up to your collarbones. And have a soft, long breath out of your mouth. Then perhaps lifting your left knee, arms coming up. Hands might come to your waist as you step your left foot far down the mat. If you're with the lunge, bend both knees. If you need to ground the back foot, step it a bit further out and bend the front knee instead only. In your lunge, draw the right hip slightly back to realign it with your left. Options from there, a breath in to extend the left arm up, perhaps bending at the elbow, maybe a hold of the elbow. Other option, right arm behind your back for a bind. Keeping your lower rib cage lightly in, perhaps drawing the elbow back. Keep a deep bend in your back knee or deepen it even further. And last option then, a side bend to the right. Breath in to lift and open your arms out. It is the left arm that crosses under for a hug of your shoulders or to bring the palms of the hands together. Keep your legs bent and at ease, perhaps your arms squeezing together. Option now to raise your heart and perhaps your elbows. Leave your lunge in a bent leg, lower back long. Let's open the arms out wide, a breath in. And perhaps stepping straight back into your mountain. See if you can find stillness in that mountain. Perhaps even aware of all the little things we do. Adjustment of clothing, hair, random movements. Using your energies very deliberate. And as you take your next inhalation, could you reach both arms up towards the ceiling? Palms might touch as you approach a forward fold, soft knees on your out breath. Half lift fingertips to shins or mat. Then stepping your feet or your knees back for a plank or a kneeling plank. Pause here, draw your tailbone down towards your heels. And then keep your elbows close on the exhale to lower down onto the floor. Maybe there's a cobra here. Hands can support or float, your choice. Shoulders are down. On the exhale, lower your forehead back down to the mat. Take an inhale, 2 or 4s. Choose to stay or tuck the toes under. And then lift the knees off the mat in a spinal wave for a down dog. If you're choosing the down dog or your all four stance, you might still feel an urge to move that. Please do if that urge is present, or find a steadier hold as you breathe slowly. Knees would be softened and the tailbone reaching up and back. Beginning now to walk your feet forward as you bring them back to the short front edge of the mat. Half lift when you're there in in-breath. Out breath to fold forward. With your knees soft now, start uncurling on your exhalation. Lifting your shoulders as you breathe in. And give them a shrug down, returning back to your mountain pose, palms forward, inner heels active. Take a deep breath. And a soft sigh again. Bringing hands now directly upon your hips. I will turn myself again. You can stay just as you are. Lifting the right knee up with a flexion of the foot. And then extending the leg back as your toes touch the floor. Take the toes a bit further out to the side. Then land on the back foot completely in a deep angle. Bend only your front knee. And with the feet about hip distance apart, draw them lightly towards each other. Option, reaching both arms up for warrior one. Alternative, hands down at heart. Choosing according to how you feel in your shoulders. Keep drawing your feet inwards. If arms are extended, have the palms facing each other. And your shoulders might feel easy, neither dropped nor lifted. Somewhere in that easy sukha place. Warrior one. As you might hold the base of the warrior, your legs and torso, take a breath in and let your arms flow open now. The right arm might cross underneath the left. Again, you could embrace your shoulders or you could touch the palms of your hands, leaving your shoulders rather easy, the arms a bit squeezy. Everything from here is optional. You're in a really great position. You might raise your back heel off the floor. You might lean your torso a bit further forward. You could even aim to lift your back foot. If you do, please flex that foot. Tilt further as the leg rises behind. Keep the toes, the hip facing to the mat. Now lengthen your neck too. And look either side of your hands or directly down to the floor if you're hugging your shoulders. Arms open out on the next in-breath, aeroplane pose. Land the foot next to the other. Turn palms forward, Mountain pose, Tadasana. Hands coming back into the side of the waist. Left knee might lift, flexing the foot. Pointing the toes now back onto the mat. Taking the toes a bit further out to the side. And then slowly bringing the weight onto the back foot as you ground it. This foot is in quite a deep angle, the toes in the diagonal pointing forward. The front knee is over the ankle joint in a bend, and then drawing the feet in toward each other. Option from here, raising the arms, Viravan. Or the same here, shoulders want support, hands touching in front of the heart space. Let your legs be squeezy as you hold your shape. The gaze might be quite steady towards the front or up towards the third eye point, your hands. Option on the next in-breath is to open the arms out wide. Letting your left arm cross underneath the right. The same here. You could hug your shoulders, you could touch the palms. Then soften the shoulders again. Remind yourself gently of the legs and their activities. The arms lightly squeezing toward each other. As you find your steady gaze, you can choose to stay or choose to raise the heel of the back foot. Maybe it's even starting to lean forward. And perhaps even lifting the foot from behind. If you do flex it straight away, point your toes to the floor. Lengthen your neck if you're in a warrior 3 with eagle arms. And on the in-breath, could you open the arms out, turning that back into an aeroplane. Landing your feet next to each other, turning the palms forward, reclaiming your mountain. Inner heels drawing towards each other, upper body easy. Breathe. If you don't want to close your eyes, lower your gaze to a solid point. Let your breath flow in and out of the nostrils. Blinking eyes open, perhaps your gaze is down towards the floor. Shifting the weight to the left foot. Raising your right knee again. Options now. Bending left knee, heel to thigh. Please avoid the kneecap. If you find this is possible, bring your opposite elbow to the leg and rest your chin into the palm of the hand. If you're feeling a little bit fancy today, place the elbow of the other arm into the palm and your chin into the opposite hand, the stack. As you float in and out of this form, take a deep breath, lift your knee, your arms, and land back safely as you breathe out. Notice the difference between your two sides. Don't rush to shift. Just notice how slowly the weight is balanced in the feet. You lean across towards the other side, then raise your left knee. If you want to take this any further, bend your standing leg. Let your heel rest against the leg. Just staying away from the poor kneecap. Options. Opposite elbow to the leg, chin into the palm. You feel fancy? Other elbow to the palm, chin into the opposite hand. And oftentimes the moment that last stack is happening, we're challenging our balance. A breath in to lift and out to land. Take a deep full breath in. Have a good sigh out. On your next inhale, reach your arms back up. On the out breath, soften the knees and come to a standing forward fold. The inhale, a half lift. The exhale to bring both knees back down onto the ground. With your knees on the floor, swinging your feet over to the side, and then coming to a seat with your legs coming out long in front. Now, I would love you to use a block if you've got one, and prop yourself up quite high. Then bend the knees in front of you, stepping your feet down onto the ground. This could be your position if you need a little bit of support, and especially if your hips feeling sore or your knees. If you are quite happy in these areas, reach with the left hand to grab your right ankle underneath the leg, and then draw the foot over to the outside of the block or the hip. If this is too far, you can attempt an easy pose instead. If you like, the left foot can stay on the floor, or you take that ankle and bring the leg to stack. Clearly not my position, so I'll stay with the other version. Reaching your left arm up as you breathe in and bending the elbow. Familiar with this movement, you could choose to take a hold of the elbow and draw it backwards, or take the arm behind for a bind, or even faking a bind. Have the lower ribs drawing lightly inwards and your head being upright, no matter your choice. Pause here. Feel into the openness that you might create in your shoulders. Last option, bending to the right. Then release all of this by sitting up, opening the arms and releasing the fingers back down to the floor. Let's unwind the legs, stepping both feet back out in front. Choice. Right hand reaching under the leg for the left ankle. You might bring the foot to the outside of your block or hip. You could step the other foot in and stay here, or take this ankle and bring the foot across. Maybe for you that's happening, I'll stay with the version on the other side today. And maybe choices are just for today. So right arm might reach up. You could bend the elbow, bring the hand behind. Same options here. You might take a hold of this elbow, or you could swing your other arm behind and attempt a bind. Wherever you choose to hold, stay exactly there. Lower ribs a little bit in and as upright in the head as is possible for you. Keeping your head tall and simply staying and breathing. You need modifications, have those modifications. And the last option as you breathe out, a side bend to your left. Breath in as you rise, open your arms and out to land the hands down, unwinding your legs and maybe removing now the block on which you might have been sitting. You could replace this block with quite a folded blanket, which is what I will do. And yes, you could stay on the block. What I do not enjoy there is that the knees might hang through. So as you extend your legs out, flex your feet. I will start with the knees bent. You might choose to do the same. Bringing fingertips down into the earth to sit tall. Maybe close your eyes as you breathe in deeply. And on your out, by starting to sway or lean forward, perhaps noticing the belly aiming here for your thighs, and you could bend the knees more so it starts to touch. Your hands might land comfortably, but your feet are still in a flexion. If your eyes are open, look either at your toes or the space between the legs. Keep shoulders easy. There may or may not be an opportunity for you to extend your legs further. Please feel into that in relation to how that is reflected in your back, if at all. If not, you might even straighten your legs out fully. Keeping a sense of lengthening through the spine each time you breathe in, rather than hanging towards the legs. On the out, by steepen this forward fold. So you might have a subtle wave of length coming through the spine on the inhale, and then perhaps a deepening of the forward bend on the exhale. Keep your feet active, your breath and your mind present in the shape. On your next in-breath, lengthening halfway out. Let hands slide or walk back as you lift to a seat. Let legs extend out, slipping off your support. If you like a support underneath your shoulders, use the blanket now. Place it to the mat a bit lower than where your head will be landing. I would love you to align your shoulders there at the folded side of your blanket. As you lean towards it, take the block with you. You might like to have that too. Aligning your shoulders over that folded side of the blanket. The head in this case resting on the floor. The block is within reach. Stepping your feet down supportively in hip distance, arms by the sides. As you breathe in, see if you can tilt the pelvis to draw the spine towards the mat. Then squeeze your bottom up as you breathe out. Now, you can always place the block underneath the sacrum flat. I would choose to place it there halfway up, but with the very shortest side facing my body. So then resting literally just the sacrum down onto the block. If this is your choice, it will feel a little bit wobbly underneath. Widen your feet and come towards a constructive rest where your knees are falling inwards, and then hold your bridge like this. Arms could be relaxed, or if you need extra support, arms classically down the sides of the body, palms touching the floor. Holding your variation of the bridge. As I said, this block could be flat. You might do a more classical version. The moment you come to hold a shape, bring awareness to this hold. What do you experience here? If you are really enjoying this variation that you've chosen of Setabandha Savangasana, bridge pose, you may hold it. Or if you would like to come into a slight inversion, separate your knees, squeeze your hips back up. Either change the block so it's squared off underneath the sacrum, or even square it off and flatten it out to rest your pelvis upon. Arms can either assist with holding onto the block or relax, and you might bring your knees loosely over the chest as we do often. From there, last option here to extend the legs towards the ceiling. Arms could relax if you're trusting the support underneath. And you might even activate your feet, perhaps flexing them, playing back with the lengths in the backs of the legs while inverting. Perhaps actively pointing the feet, exploring an extension through the top of the leg and activation thereof. Maybe holding your feet pointed, but drawing your toes back and fanning them out. So your toes look really funny. And you might feel that not only the front of the leg stays activated, but also the back of the leg. Then let your toes, your feet, and your knees soften. And be there, the legs floating in the air. Letting your knees gently soften towards your chest. Then starting to step the feet back down onto the floor. Land them again at a supportive hip distance. Palms might turn back down to the ground. You could lift your hips up with a squeeze of the buttocks as you breathe in. Withdraw the block from underneath. And ever so slowly rolling your spine down onto the floor. With the back coming to a rest, take a breath in. Tuck the chin in, lift your upper body. Push the blanket out from underneath you, and you might lift it further up the mat, so to rest the head upon. More comfortable back in your upper back. Open the arms a bit more and let your knees roll lightly, windscreen wiper movement from side to side. Take a note if this movement is sufficient. If it is, find your Shavasana from there. If it isn't, have that last little movement. And if you need something else than Shavasana, make that a constructive rest. Knees bent, feet wide, and knees falling inwards. As you settle into your resting pose, you may choose to steady your gaze towards the ceiling or close your eyes. Perhaps returning to our mudra, detoxification, Vishuddha, the thumb touching its tip to the inside of the ring finger's base, right between the ring finger and the middle finger, leaving the other fingers extended and perhaps resting the backs of the hands onto the floor. Holding this gesture of detoxification, purification. You might be very happy where you are right now, concentrating perhaps on your breath or this mudra. If you feel it's appropriate, you might choose a meditation that I will guide you through. Feelings and sensations often arise when we bring our fingers in certain positions. You might also notice how your breath is gently directed upwards into your throat and neck, instilling a sense of spaciousness. With each inhalation, your sense of spaciousness might expand naturally. And with each exhaling breath, tension from your throat and neck might gradually be released. As space is created and tension is released, a process of purification naturally occurs within all dimensions of your being. Begin by sensing this process of purification within your physical body. Reflect on the extent to which you eat consciously and only in the quantities you need to support your optimal health and vitality. Take several breaths to envision a dietary routine that purifies your body and nourishes it completely. Next, explore the level of purity within your surroundings. To what extent does your environment reflect both cleanliness and simplicity, maintaining only what you need to support your journey of transformation and awakening? Take several breaths to envision the changes you can make in your surroundings that would allow energy to flow more freely, naturally inspiring your spiritual journey. Now reflect on the level of purity in your use of time and energy. To what extent do you create a clear and open space for spiritual practice? A time to simply be, free from the roles you play in your other activities. Take several breaths to envision yourself creating a sacred space of silence and peace, where you can attune more deeply to the voice of your authentic being. Finally, reflect on purity at the level of your spiritual beliefs. To what extent are you able to release excessive identification with teachers, philosophies, and techniques, which are important vehicles, but never the destination of your journey? Take several breaths to attune to the simplicity of your true being that is already present beyond all spiritual paths, beliefs, teachings, and techniques, waiting to be revealed. Affirm your essential purity as you repeat the following 3 times after me. By cultivating simplicity, the purity of my essential being is revealed naturally. By cultivating simplicity, the purity of my essential being is revealed naturally. By cultivating simplicity, the purity of my essential being is relieved naturally. As you might slowly release your gesture or mudra and take a few more breaths to rest in your own pure essence. Beginning to deepen your breath, and as the breath deepens, a natural movement around your torso occurs with your breath. You might extend this natural movement into further movement or stretching. You could then choose to rise to a seat over the front or roll to the side of the body to do so. As you might come to join me in a seated form, you could also bring the palms of the hands together at heart center, Anjali Mudra. Eye gaze might be steady or your eyes could close. Aware of what it might be that you are detoxing from. Maybe it is a variety of things, thoughts, dietary requirements, whatever it might be. Perhaps you were able to access that from your heart space, your true self, from where we extend our energies with a light bow toward each other. Namaste.